All righty. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. When I mean everybody, I mean nobody yet. Happy Tuesday. We are back for week 2 of using Claude in your job search. Now, I've not had time to move the project over, but we're gonna talk about Claude today. We're gonna be building your company hit list with Claude. So again, if you are tuning in, welcome. Please say hey. We'd love to hear from you. We are moving and grooving over on the community side of things. If you have not checked out my newsletter, I dropped it on Substack, and it's a doozy just of all the things the community team has accomplished this last quarter. Highly recommend checking it out. So if you go to Substack, you can read it. I think I also put it on my LinkedIn last week. So excited to be with y'all today. Jeff, what's going on? Michael, it's good to see you. It's good to see y'all this morning. Hello, hello. We are on week 2 of this Claude series. Again, this Claude series, we're going to be running for 8 weeks. If you did not catch the first live stream last week, please go check it out on the Torque YouTube, torque.dev YouTube. It is up there. You can go check it out. It's kind of the basics of Claude. I'm also going to kind of talk a little bit about using Claude today. Again, you can use any AI. I think that was a question last week from David. Do you have to use Claude? Do you not have to use Claude? I like Claude. We use Gemini internally at Ronstadt. But Claude is definitely my preferred choice. So, but again, if you are tuning in, welcome. Say hey. Would love to hear from you. Would love to hear from you. Before we get into things, if you are not part of the Torque Discord, definitely do so. Let me pull up the banner. Torque.dev/Discord. Definitely get involved. We have a lot going on there. We have a great community. I say this all the time. I truly think that we are building a community where you don't have to go through your career or job search alone, right? One of the questions I get a lot is, hey, if I'm not on the job search, can I join the Discord? Can I join the platform? And absolutely, right? The platform side of things, it pushes you jobs. I think that's a cool feature. It pushes you jobs that you're fit for. So even if you're casually looking or not even looking, you could get some pretty warm leads in your profile in the platform. But if you just want to hang out in the Discord, I highly recommend doing that. Honestly, I just can't get in there as much as I would like. But it's a great time. Shout out to the folks that are here in the chat now. They're super active in the Discord. Appreciate you all. Roxy and I just got off a call together. So Roxy, it's good to see you. Yeah, Jason, it's good to see you as well. Excited for today. Again, I'm going off of a script. I hate going off of scripts. But I want to be very intentional on how I do this series and kind of walk you guys through things. So again, join the Torque.dev Discord. If you want to know when I go live, text me. This is my number. If you have any job search questions, feel free to text me. But definitely text live if you want to get updated when I go live with these things. Also, I do want to give a shout to Seek Coffee. My boy Caleb, we're going to hook the Torque community up with a discount. I've been talking to him. He's coming out with an iced espresso can. So I can't wait to try that. But if you want to try some really good coffee, I'm drinking it right now. Definitely go check them out. What else we got? What are some other things? I think that's it. All right, so let's go ahead and dive in today. We got some people in the chat this morning. So, all right, let's talk about Claude real quick, right? And I am not that smart. Some of the people in the chat can probably attest to that, aka Roxy and Jason, after working with me. So it's taken me some time to understand Claude. And I think one of the things I should have done on this stream last week is create a new project and have all of the data in there. So if you do not use projects, are in Claude are a way to kind of keep all of your conversations, and it keeps the memory of things, right? Now it's different than skills, right? So skills, for example, if I want to do my Guidance Counselor 2.0 newsletter, I can create a skill to create a specific newsletter and how to write it a certain way. I can upload a transcript. This is what I do for a lot of my newsletters. I upload a transcript. I've edited this skill on how I want the newsletter to be. And then I say, hey, Claude, can you take this transcript and make it into a Guidance Counselor 2.0 newsletter? That's a skill, right? Think of a skill as something that you would get a person to do. What I'm talking about with what we're going to go through is projects, right? So projects, again, is to keep everything in one spot. It remembers memory, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and create actually a new project for this live stream. Claude, I'm going to call it Claude series. So 8-week virtual course. All right. So I created a project, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start sharing my screen here. Let's figure out how to share my screen. This, and then window, and then this. Hopefully this is correct. All right, sweet. So y'all can see it. All right. So last week, to recap, and again, I don't have this here, but I'm actually going to go through it real quick because I do want to have this memory as we continue to build this out. So I'm actually going to refresh real quick on this. So how can I help you today? So again, the first thing is a skills audit. So Claude's got a lot of memory on me. So I'm just going to say, based on my experience and what you know about me, I want you to act as a career coach, right? So we're going to do this. Let's let it load, and it's going to pull stuff up, right? So this is a skills audit. This is what we talked about last week, right? And it's going to go through this stuff. The next thing I want to go over real quick and dump this in here is I want to go into values and priorities, right? And again, I had some DMs after the stream last week that basically I had a few people DM me from the stream last week, like, holy cow, this is really good. I've used it and it really pulled up some good information from me. So again, like this stuff really, really works. So we're going to load the chat here and go through this. Hopefully it won't take too long. My internet is a little slow today. The ongoing Taylor Destin internet saga. All right, so here's kind of what it did. All right, so it's kind of gone through this. I'm not going to walk through this. I walked through this last week, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the context of last week into this project so we can continue to build on this as we move forward, right? So value 2, all right? So value 2, prompt 2 is values and priorities. Oop. All right, so let's go under values and priorities. This is great. Let's do this now. All right, I want to figure out what I actually want in my next role, right? Ask me 5 to 7 questions. We're going to run through these real quick. Again, this is for people who may have missed. I'm going to fly through these so we can get to actually this week's topic. But again, I want to be able to, be able to get this context. So last 12 months, what's once a more stretch you felt generally energized? Love building the community from 0 to 1. And what's the moment you felt drained? I haven't really felt drained. So we're going to do that. All right. So we're going to go through these real quick. Again, I should have done these last week in a project, but again, I'm showing you real time. Fast forward 3 years, Sky works on respect. So, I'm gonna say I built the largest engaged community of 3 million technologists. All right, we're doing that. And again, I'm kind of flying through these here because we got to get to the actual prompts of today. Let's see. largest engaged, blah, blah. Okay. All right. What do you need to be true about people you work with day to day? I need them to be passionate about people and community building. Again, you can work through this on yourself. Again, one of the things I say time and time again, use Claude, use AI, use Gemini, use whatever you're using as really your guidance counselor, right? I think a lot of times in your career, I think a lot of people don't know what they don't know. They haven't been asked these questions before, and then they struggle on finding their next role, right? Money and title, honestly, money and title, honestly, what's the number? So let's just say 150K. That's what I said last week, plus, and then take a director, not worried about title, just what I'm building. That is the truth. I'm not big on titles. I just want to build something from 0 to 1, which is a focus of mine. I'm going to come back to the chat. Do you ever use Cowork for this application? I have not messed with Cowork a ton. I know it is a good skill. Question 5, Logic Lifestyle. No, really focusing on remote roles, etc. All right, so we're going to stop this just because it's going to take some time. So let's get into today's. Let's get into today. So building your target hit list. All right. So generate company ideas. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, let's move on to another topic. I want to generate company ideas based on the target role, right? Give me 15 to 20 types of companies I should be targeting, including company size, industry, and value, right? So again, I think this is a huge differentiator in your job search. I think a lot of people are like, I need to go just after SaaS, right? I think one of the things that I'm realizing talking to people, like there's a lot of companies out there that need to hire engineers, need to hire people with AI forward thinking that are not in the tech industry. I think one of the things that's happening is that we're seeing a shift towards, I'm sure there's a lot of companies in the agricultural industry that needs a lot of modernization help with AI, that while you may not be senior enough for a SaaS company with AI, you are more than qualified enough in an agricultural space to help move the needle, right? So here it is. Community is the product of the growth engine, community platform companies, tech talent marketplaces, developer media and content platforms, AI dev tools and infrastructure, tier 2 strong fit, right? And again, it's building this list for me, which I think is massive, right? Again, one of the things about the job search, I go back to it again and again. You don't know what you don't know, and using AI to get through this stuff is very, very real, right? So my prioritization advice, tiers 1 and 2 are where you should do 0 to 1 energy, remote requirement, blah, blah, blah. Want me to turn this into a targeted list or pressure test? So again, right, it asks you questions. Right. Let's go through. So yeah, want me to turn this into a tracked targeted list? Yes. Turn into a tracked targeted list and pressure test your positioning for one specific category. So I actually use this a lot, the pressure test, because I think one things I've seen a lot of times and with AI is that it sends you something, but it may not always be the best answer. And so what I've done, I know the ongoing joke is, hey AI, make no mistakes or make it perfect. One of the things I like to do is pressure testing, right? I use a lot of AI around our landing pages that we created, right? For Phoenix, for North Carolina. And one of the things that I say is pressure test this is if I was a job seeker looking at this landing page, where are the gaps? Where are the weaknesses, right? Again, I think one of the things, as somebody who is very non-technical like myself, AI has given me the opportunity to basically go out and hire consultants for certain things, right? I want pressure tested a landing page. I want pressure tested for email templates. I want pressure tested for job search stuff. Again, like using that word pressure test, I think is very, very valuable to your job search. All right. So Reading. So again, it's creating a tracker spreadsheet for me, which is absolutely massive. And it's going through this. So let's see what it does. Let's see what it does here. And again, for those of you tuning in, welcome. John, it's good to see you. Again, Chris, thanks for tuning in. David, it's great to see you as well. So again, it's turning into a track target list. It's pressure testing the position for one specific category. So let's see what it comes up with here. All right, here we go. So the tracker's ready. 42 companies across the 4 tiers with priority status, right? So this is crazy. This is crazy right here, right? Again, I haven't done this. I haven't prepped, right? This is the first time with me doing this. This is pretty incredible, right? So what it did is it basically went out and found companies that I could be a fit for, and it rated them 1, 2, 3, 4 based off my background. Right now, I will tell you, if I did the prompts into the project from last week into this week, it probably would help. But right now, we don't have that information, so it's kind of going off of the memory of me that I've used within Claude. So what it's done is it's taken 42 companies across 4 tiers with priority status drop down, columns for warm intros, how they'll value you here, right? So right here, so Circle, right, the actual like community product like Discord, right? They sell community software. Your 0 to 1 build story is the resume, right? Another one, School. I'm very well at School. I'm not aware of Bevy. Bevy is a community events platform. Your event ops maps directly to this. Estimated size 100, 200 people, right? And it gives you breakdown. This is incredible. This literally gives you like a warm lead. So if I was actively on the job search, I would literally go to all of these companies and I would start messaging people at the companies saying, "Hey, I'm casually looking for a job. Don't know if you have anything open." Let's say I would go to Bevy on LinkedIn. I would go to Bevy for company profiles. I would then go into the people who work at Bevy, and I'd probably message people that are very senior in the marketing product space, right? Because that's where kind of community lives, right? So I would say, "Hey guys, I'm currently actively on the job search. I currently head up community for a community events platform, and I do a ton of event operations, right?" Now, Brianna does a lot of that, but in the framing, if I was on the job search, I would do that, right? Does it give you links to them so you can manually verify the information? It doesn't look like it, but I'm sure I can ask it, because realistically, 25 to 40 probably isn't that accurate. Yeah, I mean, again, what do you mean by does it give you links to them? Give it links to the companies or the jobs? Again, these are just company leads here, right? So the objection you'll hit, you're not technical enough to earn developer trust. And then it kind of goes into the objections I'm going to hit. Talent marketplace community isn't product community. Partially true, your counter is the mechanics transfer, even if the subject is an activation playbook, content flywheel, event ops, turn engagement to a pipeline, etc. Why community is not, and why is community not DevRel? This is a trap question. Don't claim DevRel. You get exposed on technical depth, which is true. I'm not technical at all. Position explicitly as a community and programs, the person who built the ambassador program, events engine, content system, and let's engineers. So again, literally right here, it is not only giving me a active leads list for companies to reach out to. In the framing, I should position myself to those companies. It then is also giving me objections I'm probably going to hit based off the background that I've uploaded into AI, right? It gives you your actual positioning line, right? I build technologist communities from zero, and I already know your users because I spent years helping them get hired. Jason, it pulls the data from the internet. I don't know where you're. It's the internet, Jason. It's the internet. Honest verdict: this category is winnable, but it's a stretch tier. Again, really good stuff here, right? Really good stuff. Again, so if I were you, I would create a project. I think in Gemini, they're called gems. I would create a project and then essentially go in and upload all your information from week 1 and then start using these prompts for week 2. Just saying, it may not be current info. These are not open jobs, Jason. These are companies that align with my background. There's a difference. These are not open jobs. These are just companies that would value my background. So, all right, so we did this. This is great here. So I'm going to go and just exit out of this right here. All right, so let's go into the next prompt here, which is prompt 2. All right, so let's do this, right? So the next question is, I'm researching, let's just say I'm researching, I don't know. Let's just say I'm researching Bevy, right? Because I don't know Bevy. Bevy was on the list of community role target trackers. I'm researching Bevy as a potential. Tell me what they do, who their customers are. So let's go here. I don't know Bevy, right? So before I message anybody at Bevy, based off the data that was sent to me, I want to do some research on that company, right? Because again, I think the DM is incredibly important. I want to be able to position myself in the DM to these people in about 3 to 4 sentences, right? And so let's see what they say about Bevy. Let's let AI do AI and go from there. Let's see here. Again, I think the biggest value for using AI in your job search in your career is it tells you what you don't know, right? It gives you a ton of information. So if you see right here, it's searching Bevy community events platform company, Bevy layoffs funding news, Bevy CMX employee reviews, Glassdoor. All right, here we go. So Bevy is an enterprise grade community events platform for building, growing, scaling global communities, born out of the startup grind, right? So it gives me the background, it gives me the culture and work environment here, challenges they're likely facing. This is where you need to eyes open. This is where you need eyes open. Bevy has raised 61.4 million, but its most recent valuation has it around 325 million. That's a ZERP era remote boom validation. There's been no announced round since. Why you might be fit. Honestly, the fit logic is strong. Their buyer is a community or field marketing leader in an enterprise, which means you are the ICP. You've run distribute activation, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes into red flags here. Runaway and revenue, no new funding since 2021, the layoff pattern, and it kind of gives you things to investigate before. Net read, high fit, elevated risk. This is a talk to 2 to 3 current recent employees before applying. So I'm going to ask this, right? Again, this is me reaching out to Bevy here. I would say, okay, this is great info. If I were to craft a DM to someone at Bevy to tell them why I'm a fit for their company, what would I say? All right, here we go. So again, based off all this information, what I want to do is I want to get a really, really good, succinct DM that I could essentially cut, copy, and paste to people at Bevy, right? So I would be messaging their probably head of marketing, head of product, maybe even their CEO. A lot of companies, the community team sits and reports up to the CEO as a growth lever and engagement lever for the company. So let's see what it comes up here, because one of the things I have problems with is really kind of thinking what to say. And that's where AI really comes in here. So here's what it did. I love this. It did a peer first soft pitch, direct pitch, and CMX angle value first, right? So I think this is great here. So peer first soft pitch. This is my recommendation. Hey, so-and-so, I run a company at Torque, community at Torque, where I built technologist community from zero, activations, chapter style events, content engine, the whole thing. Bevy's been on my radar for a while since your product is basically my day job in software form. I saw the intros, AI acquisition. I'm curious where community itself sits with Bevy's strategy right now. I'd love 15 minutes. Like, I love this. I think this is a great start DM. Now, do I love this DM? Not necessarily, right? I think I'd want to punch it up a little bit. So what I would do is say, hey, I like the soft pitch, but let's punch it up. And I'm getting a spam call. and sell me a little more based off my background. What would you suggest? All right. So again, we're using AI to do a very solid outreach DM to the folks at Bevy based off their background and based off my background. Again, I think that's where a lot of people miss out on with the DMs is they just say, hey, I've done this, and they don't tie it into what the company does. Again, using AI could help with that. So let's see what they say. And then we're going to go. We have two. We have one. We have two more prompts we got to get to as well. So again, not going to say on this. All right, here's what I changed. All right, so if you look at it here, we have here. I'm going to zoom in my screen a little bit. It's a little far out. So it says, "Hey, I run Commute Tour, built it from zero, chop style events, basically, blah blah blah. I saw intros." So not bad. It didn't do a lot. I think what I do is I do it probably punch up a little tighter, right? I get straight to the point. Does the tier of AI for this work, Claude? Honestly, listen, for me with writing, I don't see a huge difference in these. I think when it comes to writing, I think just allowing AI to give you ideas. To be honest with you, if I were to message somebody at Bevy, I probably would take some of this, but then I'd craft a little bit more on my own, right? And I think that's the important thing. I think, again, and for Michael's thing, does the tier of AI for this to work? No, I think any of it can work. I truly think so. When it comes to writing stuff, I don't see a huge difference in models. But what I would do is I would punch this up a little bit more. I would edit it in the DM and then use that moving forward. What I use AI for, especially in my work, or if I were on the job search, I would use AI to get me 80% of the way there. And then the rest of the 20% add either my personality or my data or how I want to frame the conversation. I think where most people mess up is they just say, okay, this is great, and just paste and copy. Do I think this could get you some responses? I do, but I think there's some other things I could add to make it punchier. All right, so let's go to the next prompt. JD, job description, red flag detector. All right, so okay, so I'm gonna say, okay, next topic, need your help. All right, I need to go find a job description somewhere, so give me a second. I'm gonna go to, I'm just gonna say head of community. I'm just going to go to LinkedIn and find head of community jobs. Let's see here. Head of community. Okay. All right. So this company, Porto, out of, I think Austin has one. All right. So I'm going to do this. All right. So this is just a random job description. So this company is Porto. Right, so Porto Port.io. I'm sorry, Port.io. They are building an open and flexible agentic SDLC platform for modern engineering organizations. I don't know what that means, but we are going to look at this. All right, so this is going to do the red flag job description here. This is going to pressure test on how to be a good fit. Good job, good JD to practice on. It's a textbook case of a title that's bigger than the job. Here's the skeptics read. Red flags buried in the post. Strategic and hands-on is doing a lot of work. The KPIs tell where the community sits. Bridges marketing, product, and community success with no stated reporting line. No mention of current state of the community. Hyper growth language plus Series C pressure. Customer community versus developer community. Questions to pressure test the interview. I love this right here. I love this. What it just did is it took the job description, it pressure tested the job description, and then what it did is it came up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions to ask in the job interview. Again, I talk about this all the time. There's absolutely zero excuse to not come prepared with questions in the job interview, especially with AI. Right. So what it did is it created questions. Right. What does the JD tell you about culture? Let me ask this. Let me ask you this. Based on what you know about me, is this a fit, and where are the gaps? Because here's the deal. So what I would say, the reason why I'm asking about the gaps is incredibly important because you want to be able to address that head on early. right? Either in the interview or a DM conversation, right? So straight answer, it's about 67% fit on skills, but there are two gaps. One, where you generally match. The job is written is your torque job with a different logo. Build and grow community. You did 0 to 1 events, blah, blah, blah. Gap one, the devs tool domain. And it's the big one. Port sells platform engineers. Your community was technologists, right? So gap two, the seniority bar. They're looking for 10 plus years of leadership. They don't know my exact years. If I went through the prompts on week one in this project, they would have it, but we don't because your boy wasn't that smart. Gap three, smaller but real, the working model. Port is Israeli HQ. You want remote. This role might be remote eligible, but the hands-on community role with Tel Aviv exec team means your mornings belong in the afternoons. That's livable, but it's a life. I love this. I don't know if I'd be able to pull this just looking at this, right? Or just looking at the job description on LinkedIn, the verdict. So let me ask you this. If I were to interview, what gaps, areas should I be ready to address immediately based on my background? See what it says. Right. Again, I'm using this to prep, right? I'm using this to prep. And also you could use it to help write your job description or your resume, right? So what I could do, I'm not going to do it here because of time, but I could upload my job description into this conversation and be like, based off this job description and my resume, where are the gaps? What should I expound on? And then edit it myself, right? You've never worked in dev tools. Why should platform engineers listen to you? Tell me about the team you've managed. What were your community numbers? Your community was job seekers, are users of the product. How does that translate? How would you drive lead generation through community? Why are you leaving Torque? Why Port specifically? The logistics question. Again, this is great information. If I was interviewing at Port, I would be able to step into my first round interview being totally prepped on where they're going to address. I have questions ready for them. And if I uploaded my resume, I could cross-reference before I submitted my resume and be able to expound on things. So again, fantastic. Whoa, didn't recognize light mode. I'm light mode. Give me all the blue light in my eyeballs. I am all light mode. All right, we're getting slowly wrapping up here. Let me know if you have any questions. So next thing, build a tracker. I want to build a simple job tracker. So let's do here. The final thing here. I want to build a simple job search tracker. Give me the exact columns I should have in my spreadsheet. Again, one of the things I've talked about a lot of times, I think a lot of people struggle with the job search because they don't have a formula, a way to follow up with people, a really, really good, solid foundational thing. So what I did is I just said, hey, help me build a job list tracker. Yes, you can go out and purchase, like, I think Hunter is one. I'm sure there's a lot of job search platforms out there. But again, and then it says, can I rebuild exactly what are your current targets? Yeah. So again, so can you create a Google sheet so I can upload my own data? Right. And so it's going to go through and it's going to build this for you. And again, this is the last prompt of this week. So let's see what it does here. Again, the building blocks of the job search is to have good processes and procedures, leverage AI to build that for you, right? So let's see here. Let's see what it does. We're holding. Here we go. Building a 10. Base 64 encoded, but I don't know what that means. All right, here we go. He's not a dev, doesn't use the AI. Okay, always allow. Let's see what it pops up here. All right, it's taking a moment. All right, come on. And then one of the things that I would do too, when it comes to the job search and using AI, I would also get it to set, and this is where we go into co-work, and we can talk about co-work on another stream, but basically allow you to do, you set tasks. So what you could get it to do is you could get it to be like, hey, you go into co-work and be like, hey, can you run 8 a.m. every day on any companies that I've interviewed with that I haven't had any interaction with in the last 7 days, right? And then what it would do is you could upload this Google sheet and to that co-work, and then it pulls that, and then it sends you updates, right? Again, I think one of the things about the job search is staying on top of everything. This is taking absolutely forever. I don't know why it's taking absolutely forever. All right. So I don't know why it's taking forever. We will keep it running, but otherwise, that's this week. All right. So again, to recap, create a project, title it Chris's job search, Taylor's job search, Jason's job search, right? Go through the prompts from the first week, right? If you want to go to the Torque YouTube, it's there. Go through those prompts. Then go through this week's prompts, build out your target list. I think one of the most impactful things that if you can remember anything from this stream, AI can build a target hit list, right? So essentially you got to look, again, Jason and I in our past streams have talked about this. Your job search is like you're in sales. You are the product and you are going to target lists. Get AI to pull targeted lists based off your background, message those, pressure test the job descriptions, find your blockers or your weak spots, be able to address them in the DMs, and then build a job search tracker that obviously has stalled out. So I will post that in the chat whenever it's done. So that is this week's episode, right? So again, last week was using Claude to figure out what job you actually want. And then this week was building your target company hit list with Claude. Next week, we're going to go over a live resume rewrite. So what we're going to do is we're going to take my resume and we're going to cross-reference it with job descriptions, and we're going to build out a resume as it relates to the job you're applying to. So hopefully you enjoyed this episode. If you think somebody in your network could benefit from this, please share this episode on your LinkedIn, on your X. It would mean a lot. Otherwise, here we go. It looks like it just created it. Here we go. All right, I'm going to share my screen real fast, and then we'll wrap up. But I want to show you this. So what it did is it created a job search tracker here, right? So Bevy, Port, those are the two companies we talked about. Priority, high, medium, researching. Any contacts you could put there. Last touch, next steps, fit notes, red flags, comp, right? And then what you can do, we can talk about it next week on using Claude Co-work to run scripts to basically say, hey, set up an automation with any job lead that hasn't gotten back to me in 7 days so you can stay close to them. So that's it. Appreciate y'all for tuning in today. Thank you. Have a great Tuesday. Have a great week. We'll see y'all back next Tuesday for week 3. And we'll see you in the Torque Discord. Peace.